Hi, it's Jessie from Squeegee Ink, and welcome back to Printer's Corner. Printer's Corner is where I answer your questions that you've given me all around social media in a little bit more detail. If you would like your question answered like this, simply use hashtag Printer's Corner in the comments and I'll pick those up for a future episode. Today's questions are around the ink that we use on mailers, our setups and tips for live printing events, and how long it took us to get to where we are with our brand and our retail shop. Also, don't forget to stick around to see the results from this week's community poll. Our first question is from Michael Mont1, and they said, what ink do you use for screen printing mailers? And assuming they're asking about paper mailers, in the past we've accidentally kind of used what we've got in the studio, which was just some water-based fabric ink. So it technically works, it's nice and vivid, and it does dry like to touch. But what we found is when we stack all our mailers or store them and come to use them, they're very, very tacky. Like they peel off each other when you've stacked all the mailers on top of each other. So I wouldn't advise that really. I would go for something like the Permaprint Premium, which is a Permaset ink. So it's Permaset Permaprint Premium. It's quite hard to say, but that is a specially formulated ink for papers and boards. And that's what I'm going to be using next to hopefully get around all this tackiness and stickiness from using a fabric ink on a paper or cardboard product. Our second question is from Get Repulsed. They said, love your vids, super helpful and informative. Not sure if you've covered this somewhere before, but I'm wondering what equipment did you start on and how did you get the shop you have now? How long did it take you to make it your full-time job, or did it start that way? Hashtag Printer's Corner. My story is that fresh out of university, on the last kind of bit of the course when I was doing my degree, I already had in my mind that I definitely wanted to open a screen printing studio straight after uni. And I kind of almost dipped out of my degree. I did finish it and get one, but my mind was really on the screen printing studio, so I threw all my energy into that. I rented a small garage kind of tool store area, which I still have now, renovated that and bought a small amount of equipment because I actually entered myself into this competition at university, which was for a small business grant. And you basically had to go up in front of all these judges and pitch your business plan that I'd made and come up with your ideas to make it a financially viable business in the arts. And I got a small grant for that. But so that started me out as an open access screen printing studio. So nothing to do with textiles, actually. I basically had equipment that artists could use, I could use and sell art prints. And then I eventually found that I wanted to print a couple of t-shirts. So I got a single arm press and some plastil ink, and I basically taught myself how to do that. And it was a bit of a shambles at the beginning, like everyone, but I eventually got a 2-station press and then a 4, and then eventually I've landed on the Cruiser, which has been amazing. And you can do so much on a Cruiser manually printing. You can basically sustain yourself in your studio and print almost any design possible. So this is kind of where I've landed in the space that I've got. So how I've done it is just buy what I can afford, hope that a job comes in that means that I can reinvest the profits into a better piece of equipment, which means I can then take on bigger jobs, more complex work, multicolour stuff, and then I've landed here. And then with the t-shirt brand alongside that, because that's become a huge part of what we do, that was started as basically we had a market store that we attended once a month. And we'd sell the t-shirts that we'd printed. So we maybe only had a handful of designs at the beginning. And then again, we just sold the shirts, reinvested the profits, bought more shirts, got more and more and more designs until we found that we had a market and demand for not just a monthly market, but also a retail shop. So now we have the retail shop. We attend lots of festivals, events, conventions, and we still do that original market store every month as well. So it's a slow build. Go for the slow build. Try not to go for the quick buck, and you'll get to where you need to be. Also, just to let you know, when I started in, I think it was October in 2013. So I've been going a long time. You could have probably got there quicker if you knew what you wanted to do, but I did basically have to cater to what the audience was in the beginning, which was artists, and that's how I made my initial money. Our final question is from Donahue Thale, and they said, #Printers Corner. Hi, Chessie. What would your general setup be for craft markets and other live markets like that? And do you have any advice for selling at them? Thanks. It depends on whether you mean a live screen printing kind of event, because we have had live printing on market stalls before. And what we found is that they attracted people to the stand and it was interactive and fun, but it was mainly as an entertainment for kids. And it didn't really open up the question of our printing services, because at the time that was the intention, to get more printing clients. We actually found that the one day where it was raining and we didn't bring our press out to the market, we got a lot more conversations about printing for other people and getting customers in that kind of way. If you're trying to get customers for your screen printing studio, maybe just sell some of the products that you already have, like some t-shirts, for example, and you'll naturally have the conversations with people on how you printed them and how you can print for them in the future as well. If your question is, how do you set up for specifically live screen printing events? We always do these as closed ticketed events now, because that means that the people who are printing with you come there with the intention of learning how to print. So maybe our class sizes are around the 20. We go to different locations like breweries and things. Our setup there is the Riley Hopkins single arm press with a heat press that we can plug into the wall. So we've got a way to cure the water-based ink. We tend to use the Permaset inks because they're like super user-friendly. If people get the inks on their hands, for example, they can wash them off and there's no big deal there. They're like non-toxic and don't smell and all that type of thing. And my advice for selling at markets would be to engage in conversations and don't hide behind a desk like a lot of people do. Open it up like a little shop, move around your stall. And the best thing that I've ever learned on how to sell t-shirts is to have a story behind the shirt, or tell people why you printed the shirt, or even if you used a special ink that you're proud of, even if it's just puff or something special, you can tell them and get excited about telling them why you used it, so that they then have something cool to say about why they got their shirt or what makes it different. So engaging in conversations would be my biggest advice for making sure that you're selling lots of your t-shirts at market stalls. To round up this week's question, which is how long it took to build our screen printing studio and retail shop, the answer is that you can work it out, because we started in October 2013 and now we have a small manual shop with a bit of embroidery and we do lots of different things. And we have a brick and mortar shop and a regular market stall. So that's how long it took us to get to where we are. It's now time for this week's community poll.
Community poll.
If you'd like to take part in a community poll, you can go to the community tab of our Squeegee Ink YouTube channel. And there you'll see all the different poll questions from the past and current ones. So you can give us your answers. You can also discuss the results in the comments and we can all basically see what everyone else is doing in the industry. This week's question was, if you had to start your business again, but only had £1,000 or dollars, what would you buy? And the options are secondhand heat press and some transfers, single arm press and screen, eBay job lot, or other answers in the comments. And the large majority, I'd say, said a single arm press and screens. So even with their experience in the print industry, they're still going to say that they want to start small on a single press and get some screens in and get printing from day one. Let me know if you also agree. You can also take part into all the other polls and questions that we've got on there to see if we're all on the same page and we can all see where the industry's going. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and I hope you have a really great time printing this week. Don't forget, if you've come up with any questions for me, just use hashtag Printers Corner in the comments of our videos, and I'll go into a little bit more detail and answer your question in a future episode.